All right. Looks like we are good to go. All right. Excellent. Let me do a little bit of adjusting here. All right. Neozoic. Damn, dude. Hey, how's it going? Oh, shit. All right. So, welcome to my new stream, Candlestick. How's it going, bud? I love that you two are so. I love that you two are so loyal. I can always count on you guys to show up to my streams. You guys may have noticed I don't have my microphone with me because the audio I'm using is the audio off of my webcam. Is it loud for you guys? Because I'm looking at the audio feedback thing in OBS and it's going into the red quite a bit. So I was just wondering if it's extremely loud for you guys, or if not. So if you could just let me know, I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, welcome to the first stream of October. It is now the beginning of the spooky season. Nope. All right. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad that, awesome. Excellent. So you guys can hear me just fine, all right? Let's see. Top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. Man, a top 10 right on the spot? That would be kind of difficult, man. I'll give it my best shot. I think my number 10. I think my number 10 would probably be The Pit and the Pendulum with Vincent Price, the Edgar Allan Poe movie. My number 9 would probably be I think my number 9 would be the Japanese film Onibaba, which is about the two women living in the big rice field, and one of them wears that creepy Hanya mask, and she's trying to chase off her daughter-in-law from going off and having sex. That's a really great creepy movie that you guys need to check out whenever you get the chance. Onibaba. It's a Japanese black and white film from the 60s. So that'd probably be my number 9. Number 8 would probably be Carrie, the original 70s Brian De Palma version with Sissy Spacek. Number 7 would probably be, I think with number 7 I'd go with the movie Witchfinder General, which also has Vincent Price. He plays the famous witch burner, William Hopkins. Number 6. I think number 6, I'm going to go with a popular choice here with number 6. I'd probably go with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original 1970s Tobe Hooper one. That movie's really effective. It's still creepy and suspenseful and incredibly disturbing to this day. So down to the top 5. I'd probably go with Eyes Without a Face, which is a black and white French film from the 60s. If you guys have never heard of it, I strongly recommend it. It's about this young girl whose dad is a surgeon. She gets into a car accident. and her dad is like super mentally unstable, and he kidnaps all these other girls and surgically removes their faces so he can make a new face for his daughter. It's a great, creepy, black and white, sort of gothic horror film. Recommended a bunch. Tribute to the Past. How's it going, dude? Really glad you could make it. So my number four probably be The Thing, John Carpenter version. I'd probably be a very popular pick, but dude, I think some movies are popular for very good reason. So yeah, I'd go with The Thing. Number four, probably go with number four. I think number four, I'd probably go with Hereditary, which is probably the newest horror film I would probably include, but I remember watching that film and being blown away by it, by just how good the atmosphere was, how good the acting was, how good the suspense and tension was. Thought that movie was excellent, personally. So what am I at now? Number three? So my number three pick would be... I think my number three pick would probably be early 60s black and white ghost movie called The Innocents. If you haven't seen that movie, strongly recommend it. It's a movie about this lady who's like a nanny to these two rich kids, and she starts seeing ghosts all over the place. It's called The Innocents. It's from 1961, I believe. Damn good gothic ghost horror film. And I know what my number two picks would be. My last two picks would be, I'd probably go with, number two would be Blair Witch Project. Number one would be Suspiria. I picked those films because out of all the horror films I've seen, those are the ones that I can genuinely think of that have legit scared me. Like, no joke. Because I remember watching Blair Witch Project, and I was intrigued by like the first 20 minutes, but man, when they got into the forest and they got lost, and they all started like turning against each other, I found that way too real. I'm going to tell you guys something. I have been lost in a forest before, super late in the afternoon, and it's not a fun experience. I feel like a lot of the emotions that the characters in the movie cycle through, I found those very relatable. Those were the same sort of mental thoughts and emotions that I cycled through as well. Because when you get lost in a forest and there's like no sign of civilization, you have no idea where you're going, dude, there's so many things that race in your minds. Like, you start to despair, you get angry and frustrated, you have mental breakdowns. It's like you think you're never going to see anyone ever again. You think you're going to be stuck in that place forever. It's like all of those things. The characters in that movie, they go through all of that. And that was scary enough. But I mean, you throw in that whole like supernatural bit with the witch, or maybe it's not even a witch. It's something clearly that's stalking them. Like, there's something in the forest with them. You have no idea what it is. You don't know if it's the witch. You don't know if it's like some crazy serial killer. That's what I think. That's what makes that movie my number two, personally, for me. And my number one would obviously be Suspiria, because that movie still terrifies me to this day. Because anytime I watch that film, I feel like I'm inside of it. I feel like I'm stuck inside this creepy ass, just oppressive, dark, like dance school, man. I can't watch that movie late at night, because if I do, I'm gonna I gotta go to sleep with the lights on, because that's how it is, you know. Because I remember only a couple years ago, my roommate and I went to see it at the theater, and it was super late at night, and it still had that effect on me. It's still an insanely powerful film. It's still very effective. So, anyways, let me read what the chat says. Yeah, the first Blair Witch Project is still great. The second one is bad. The 2016 one is meh. I think the 26th one is a crime against cinema, personally. The second one, I mean, yeah, the second one's terrible, but, like, I could watch the second one and laugh at it. Like, the second one has, like, this super trashy, kind of like B-movie quality to it. That's what I like about it, personally. Let's see. I'm starting character bios on my channel, kind of like how you did with Supervillains Explored. What advice would you give me with that? So, I think my advice for you with that would be to... I'm going to try to give you advice that I myself kind of didn't really follow when I was doing that myself. My first bit of advice would be research extensively. Now, I realize that if you're doing videos about comic book characters, then obviously not everybody has unlimited money to go out and buy comics, but there are ways to read comics that don't involve money, which I'm sure you can figure that out on your own. But yeah, I think research is paramount. I also think your presentation is going to be paramount as well. You need to be able to inflect. You need to be able to hold an audience's interest. So I would suggest maybe sort of going in with an idea of how you want the video to come across, how you're going to edit it, how you're going to present it, what type of music you're going to use in the background, because you don't want just some clinical, boring, you know, just sitting in front of a webcam, just saying, and then this character did this character did that, or like just doing a voiceover with a picture on the screen. So I would say my advice to you would be those things. So, all right. What is your thoughts on the upcoming Dead Space remake? I'm not entirely sure. I did see the trailer for the Dead Space remake. My first thoughts are that graphically it looks incredible, but I mean, that's to be expected. It is coming out on modern hardware. Sorry, just 1 second, guys. All right, sorry about that. I was sending a message to the one lady who usually tries to be a mod in my chat. I was just letting her know I was streaming. Anyways, let me get back to your comments. So, oh yeah, the Dead Space remake. So, yeah, the graphics look incredible. I'm wondering if they're going to sort of enhance the atmosphere a whole lot, because I really, really like the original Dead Space, but I never felt like it was really scary. I was never really terrified or scared by the original Dead Space, but I think the remake definitely has the potential to actually be scary. You know, it has the potential to do kind of like maybe introduce, I don't know, like an Alien Isolation or Silent Hill type of vibe going on for it. Oh yeah, one last thing I did want to say is that I was not too impressed with the voice acting that I saw. Like whoever they got to do the voice of Isaac's girlfriend, Nicole, like she sounded really bored and tired. Because like they played the clip of her doing the recording that she gives to Isaac, and I remember in the original game she sounded terrified, and she actually sounded like she was into the role. Her voice acting was great, but I don't know who they got to do her voice in this remake, but yeah, it was really just wooden and not very expressive. But that's the only criticism I have so far. It looks cool. Definitely gonna check it out when it comes out. Who's your favorite C-list? Oh yeah, somebody asked me who's my favorite C-list slasher. So by C-list, do you mean like obscure slashers? Actually, I'm not sure I would say he's a C-list, but there's this slasher movie from Italy from the late 80s. It's called Stage Fright, also called Aquarius, because it's an Italian horror movie. They always have like multiple titles going on. But this movie, Stage Fright, it's really unique. It's really cool. It's a very underrated slasher horror film because it's about all these characters who are these stage actors. And the killer who's stalking and killing all of them is a former stage actor who went insane. And the costume he wears like this big, creepy owl mask over his head. Like he literally just walks throughout the entire movie with an owl face over his head. And it's super unsettling. It's super creepy. The movie's got an amazing atmosphere. I cannot recommend it enough. Great stuff. Definitely check it out. Super, super underrated. So I don't know if that's what you meant by C-list slashers, but I think if I had to pick one, that would probably be my pick. What's your opinion on the Blair Witch Project game? I don't know. I don't know what they were trying to do with that Blair Witch Project game, because I looked at it and it looked like it didn't have anything to do with the movie. Because, like, it looks like it's this guy and his dog, and they're in a forest. And from what I heard, it's the same forest that the characters in the first movie go to. And apparently the guy and his dog, they're being stalked by, like, something. They're being stalked by, like, some creatures. And I'm like, wait, is that the witch? But then you find out there's multiple creatures. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I thought there was only one witch. So I don't know. I'm not sure if, it looks like an interesting game, but I don't know. It feels like they just stuck the Blair Witch name on there just for brand recognition, just so they could maybe sell it to more people. I don't know. Is it weird they brought back Isaac's voice actor? Oh, yeah, that's another thing I wanted to point out. Yeah, so, I do find it strange how in the original Dead Space game, Isaac never talks, but in this trailer for the remake, they actually do have him talking. I thought that was kind of a weird choice, because I actually liked the fact that Isaac was a silent protagonist in the original game. I like that personally. I think it added a bit to. I think it kind of added a bit to the game's atmosphere. It kind of made you feel like you could sort of put yourself inside of his suit. I mean, obviously he started talking once the second game came out, but I mean that game was kind of more of like a roller coaster horror action game anyway. So I think it worked better. I'm not sure how they're going to make it work with this remake. What else we got here? Opinions on the Phantom movie, the one that stars Billy Zane. I think it's fun. I enjoy it a lot. Um, I think it's very silly, but I mean, it's not a film that takes itself too seriously. I really enjoyed it personally. I think it was kind of a fun adventure film, and I think the big thing that saves it is that you can kind of tell Billy Zane was really into the character. Because, I mean, he had no qualms about wearing that costume because, let's be honest, that's a really goofy-looking costume to wear in a live-action film. But, I mean, he was a trooper about it. He was a champ about it. So I respect that hugely. I do kind of enjoy those comic book films that came out in the early 90s. You know, movies like The Phantom, The Shadow with Alec Baldwin, The Rocketeer. The Rocketeer is a great one. It's probably the best one out of all those films. All those comic book films sort of based around Depression era comic book pulp heroes. A pretty good amount of people watching. So I thought now would be a good time to mention, guys, I have a Patreon now. So if you want to help me out financially, not saying you have to, not saying that I'll think any less of you if you decide not to, but if you do, and I would appreciate it if you did, there's always an option to subscribe to one of those little Patreon tiers, and it's in the description box. So I just thought I would bring that up. What else we got? Question: What if they were a series that is similar to the Shin series, Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman, Shin Kamen Rider, but with Western franchises such as TMNT, Transformers, Thundercats? Are you talking about Are you talking about sort of making sort of darker, more realistic sort of takes on sort of 80s media franchises like that? Is that what you're saying? I think that would be interesting if it was done right. I need to watch that Shin Ultraman series because I think it's on Netflix now, and I don't have Netflix, so I may have to watch it through other means. I haven't seen Shin Kamen Rider either. But yeah, I think that would be a cool idea. Definitely. Which version of Iron Man is better, the comics or the MCU? It's a bit... I think both have their strengths and their weaknesses. It's a little complicated because as soon as the first MCU Iron Man movie came out, the comic book version basically became a carbon copy of Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal. Because before Robert Downey Jr. played the character, Iron Man was kind of a very sort of no-nonsense, sort of stoic, straight-to-the-point type of character, which is kind of the same thing that happened with Star-Lord, because Star-Lord in the comics, like pre-2014, he was a very no-nonsense, very to-the-point, kind of straightforward, sort of like soldier character. That's a lot like how he was during like the Annihilation and Annihilation Conquest storylines. But as soon as the first MCU movie came out, oh, he's the charismatic, jokey guy. So I will say that I think Downey Jr.'s Iron Man probably had a better sort of arc and a better sort of run through his series. Because I'm going to be honest, comic book Iron Man, he has some good moments, but there's a lot of rocky spots in his characterization, especially during all that Civil War horse shit. So, yeah. By the way, how's your book going? Oh, dude, I am so glad you asked. I literally just got done writing the last chapter before like the final huge battle goes on. So I have basically this big ass crazy battle to get through and write. Then I have a big epilogue after that, and after that the story will be done. And so after that, it's just going to be a matter of going in, editing, proofreading, maybe adding some extra details to all the different chapters, maybe just sprucing and touching it up a little bit more. But after that, it's done, man. And once I am finished with it, I'm going to do everything in my power to try to get it published. I want to get it because I want to get it out in the public. I want to be able to expose as many people to as I can, because I want to have my name out there in the creative world in one way or another. And also, another idea I had is that once I actually get it done, I was also thinking of making this really long, ambitious audiobook version of it, where obviously it would be me doing the narration, and then when it gets to the second half of the book where there's dialogue, I'm probably going to try to get a bunch of other people I know to maybe do the voices of all the different characters. I'm going to add music, sound effects. It's probably going to take a long ass time, but it's something I'd be willing to do for sure, because I've become a big fan of audiobooks in recent years. What's your top 10 female slashers? I don't really know of any female slashers. I think the only ones I'm aware of are, obviously there's Pamela Voorhees from the first Friday the 13th. There's that one girl from Sleepaway Camp. What else? Those are the only female slashers I'm aware of. Sorry, man. Let's see. Yes, although according to the movie, Shin Ultraman is closer to the original series, 1960s, both in tone and style. Oh, okay. Shin Kamen Rider won't come out until next year of March. Okay. I still haven't gotten too much into Kamen Rider. I'm still watching through Super Sentai, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I bought a lot of Super Sentai DVDs, especially during over the past couple of years when I got the stimulus payments. I kind of splooged a little bit on DVDs, so got quite a few different Sentai series. Which version of Tim Drake is better, the comics or the animated series? I gotta go with the comics, because Tim Drake in the animated series is basically just Jason Todd. Really, he's not even Tim Drake, really. He's Tim Drake in name only. That being said, that's not to say that animated series Tim Drake is bad by any means. I do like animated series Tim Drake. He's just not really... He's not really the portrayal I really think of when I think of Tim Drake. You know, he's not the super smart, clever, detective. You know, I can't see Ra's al Ghul calling animated series Tim Drake detective. And I also can't see Bruce Timm just pulling a bisexual label for him out of his ass. Sorry. Let's see. Congratulations. Sounds awesome. Can't wait for it to be published. Thank you, dude. Thank you. I'm really excited about it. I've been sharing it with a lot of people. I'm trying to get as much feedback from it as I can. Which types of zombies do you prefer? Traditional zombies or new zombies? I'm not a huge zombie fan, to be perfectly honest with you. I think zombies are extremely overdone in horror. It's not that I hate them, it's just that I find other kinds of monsters to be more interesting than zombies, personally. That's just me, though. Though, there are some zombies I like. I do like when zombies in movies actually have super detailed makeup to where like you can see like huge chunks of skin missing and like skull fragments just popping out. I think one of my favorite movie zombies is that one zombie from the opening of George Romero's Day of the Dead. The dude that has his lower jaw missing, you see his tongue just drooping out. I think that's a gnarly ass design. I like that design a lot. I think the design of the zombies from Lucio Fulci's Zombie 2 or Zombie Flesh Eaters as it's called. I like those. I like that design a lot too. A lot of those zombies look really awesome and badass. Who's the better detective? Batman, The Shadow, Sherlock Holmes, Velma, Dick Tracy, or Rorschach? Wow. I think I would rule out Velma because, if we're being completely honest, the Scooby-Doo gang busts some really stupid criminals. Rorschach, I don't remember Rorschach doing any like super challenging detective work from when he was in Watchmen. I mean, Batman's good, but he also relies a lot on his technology. So I think if I had to go with anyone out of that group, I'd probably go with Sherlock Holmes because he's a guy who like just autistically, obsessively studied deduction techniques and all that stuff, and he really honed that shit. If you actually go back and read the original Conan Doyle stories, like he was very committed. He was very obsessive about all that deduction theory and stuff like that. So I'd probably go with Sherlock Holmes. Ugh. What do we got here? Is it weird that the animated series didn't use Jason Todd because they said it was too dark despite the similarity and some of the dark elements of the character? Oh, well, I mean that's just hey man, that's just 90s cartoon censorship for you, really. Because it's not honestly surprising that they made that a rule or a standard to follow, because you got to think these are the same people that said Spider-Man in his cartoon wasn't allowed to punch people. You know, like they imposed all kinds of retarded guidelines, or not guidelines, rules on cartoons during that time. I will say though, the thing about Return of the Joker is that was a movie, and I think the DCAU movies definitely were allowed to go further in places that the shows weren't. So there's also that to bear in mind. Let's see. Which version of Dick Grayson is better, Young Justice cartoon version or the Teen Titans cartoon version? I haven't seen Teen Titans in a really, really long time. I did like the Dick Grayson that was on Young Justice for the 2 seasons I saw of that show. So I'm not too sure. I would have to go and watch Teen Titans again to really answer that question in an effective way. Who are the best villains who use magic? Any form of media is okay. Oh, the best villains who use magic. Would Thulsa Doom from the original Conan the Barbarian, would that count? James Earl Jones's character from the original Arnie movie. Yeah, he uses magic. I mean, he turns into a snake during that one scene, so he's probably one of my favorite villains who uses magic. You know, he kind of fits that evil sorcerer archetype. Oh, I think aside from him, though, I don't know why I'm struggling with this question so much. There's no shortage of evil sorcerers, so I don't know what the deal is. Should they turn the Batman Spawn comic into an animated movie? If they do, they would have to change a lot from it, because I remember that comic being complete trash. And I remember Batman being written as a complete psychopath. Like I feel like the Batman Spawn crossover basically was All-Star Batman and Robin Batman before that comic was even created. So if they were to do that, I think that would be cool, but I think they would have to take a lot of liberties with the source material, because the source material in this case is trash. Who's your favorite joke villains? Guys like Condiment King. I like Stiltman from the Daredevil comics. I think, he's basically a joke villain, but I've been reading Bendis's run, and I feel like Bendis did a pretty good job making him a fairly sympathetic villain, because I ended up feeling bad for him and his wife and his family and all that. So I like Stiltman, kind of in a sympathetic sort of way. Who's the better character, Doctor Strange or Zatanna? I don't know, man. I don't remember. I don't recall any recent versions of Zatanna that were made into idiots, unlike the newest Doctor Strange movie. So I'd probably go with Zatanna if I were to guess. Oh, I have one question for you guys. So when you guys are looking at the stream, it looks good, right? It doesn't look pixelated or anything, because the last stream that I actually uploaded, I went back and I watched it, and it looked, oh my god, it looked terrible. It looked atrocious. It looked so horribly pixelated. So you guys could sort of sound off and let me know if it looks good. That would make me feel better. All right. Have I missed any comments? Oh, I think I should also update you guys about the status of the Predator video. I'm probably about a quarter of the way through it. I'm sorry it's taking me so long, because I'm sure you guys are aware. I probably mentioned this before, but trying to balance time between working on that video, plus writing my book, plus trying to take care of all the other things in my life, because I'm going to the gym a bunch, doing my job. It's taking me a bit to get used to, but I am doing the Predator video, guys, slowly but surely. So don't worry, it will come. Make no mistake. No pixelation here. Awesome. Really glad to hear that. Whoa. Okay. Least favorite to favorite members of the Crime Busters from Watchmen? Oh, favorite Watchmen characters. Okay. Hmm. I think my favorite Watchmen character is probably Night Owl because I definitely liked the journey he goes on. He kind of goes from being sort of miserable, self-loathing type of guy, but he ends up sort of rediscovering like his purpose and his like masculinity, and he ends up hooking up with Silk Spectre at the end. So that was really cool. I think I like Night Owl and the sort of redemption he goes through in Watchmen. Should they include Batman's first villain, Doctor Death, in the Arkham games? I mean, if they want to make any more Arkham games, there hasn't been an Arkham game since 2015, since Arkham Knight. I think that would be cool, just so long as they can maybe make an interesting character and boss fight out of him. I'd be down for that. I think it would show just how nerdy Rocksteady are about the lore, but it doesn't look like they're going to be making any more Arkham games. I think they're solely focused on making this Suicide Squad game. If I were to be completely honest. And as far as the Suicide Squad game, I'm not entirely sure. It could be fun. It could be interesting. But I don't know, dude. The premise just seems so worn out and so tired. It's like all the Justice League members are mind controlled, and it's Brainiac doing it. It's like, dude, how many times has Brainiac been the central villain of a DC game now? Like, come on, man. I mean, I like Brainiac, but still, like, there's plenty of other villains you could center around. Should they include... Oh, yeah, I already read that. Favorite Batman Beyond villain? Oh. I like Blight. I think Blight was a really cool villain. He got very badly underutilized in the show, sadly. What's that? What was that Kraven the Hunter type guy? The Stalker, I think his name was? I liked him. I thought he was a really cool character. I remember watching the episode that introduced him as a young kid, and when they showed that flashback where they were operating on his back, that was intense, man. Holy shit. I remember watching that and actually being disturbed by it. I was like, fuck. Dude, Batman Beyond, that show had balls. I'm serious. Like, I think Batman Beyond was like way darker, way more disturbing, way more grim than Batman the Animated Series ever hoped to be. They got away with a lot of things in that show that I don't think many other cartoons around that time were getting away with. Because, geez, whew. Yeah, Stalker. That was the character's name. I also like that ninja character, the woman with the blue skin, Kirare, I believe her name was. I kind of liked her story. Should they make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game in the style of the Arkham games? Didn't they do that already with... wasn't there a game like that was made? Like Out of the Shadows or some shit like that? I don't know. I never played that game. I heard people say it was kind of crappy, though. So... I think it could work. Yeah, Kirari. Yep, that was the character's name. Oh, one episode of Batman Beyond I especially like is the one where all the characters are splicing themselves with animal DNA. Especially like the bit where Terry gets spliced and he turns into a giant bat creature. That was a really cool like horror moment. That was a really, really neat, cool horror moment. Should the Kill the Justice League game just be a Kill Superman game? I say that because he inspires the others and he's super powerful. Killing him would be like killing an important person. God, I hope that's not what happens. I kind of hope that what happens in that game is that they just destroy whatever is mind controlling all the Justice League members and they just all kick Brainiac's ass in the end. Because I'm sick to death. I'm really sick to death of Superman being an antagonist. I really am. Opinions on Beast Wars. Love Beast Wars. I think Beast Wars is probably my favorite bit of Transformers media, if I'm being completely honest. I think Beast Wars is phenomenal. I actually have all 3 seasons on DVD. I think Beast Wars is like a prime example of how like something can age a lot in terms of technology, but it can still be great just because like the storytelling and the character writing it all still holds up beautifully all these years later. Yeah, love Beast Wars. I also love how it pays lip service to like the Transformers franchise as a whole. Definitely love that. Opinions on Transformers Prime. Yeah, Transformers Prime is pretty good. I liked it a lot. Really, really dig Transformers Prime. I like the characters. I liked that, what was it, Beast Hunters or something? Whatever that second season was. Yeah, Transformers Prime was dope. Definitely recommend it. I feel like Transformers Prime is sort of like what the Michael Bay films kind of should have been. Beast Wars is great. Yeah, absolutely agree. Actually, there is one thing regarding Batman Beyond that I wanted to bring up. I remember I watched through all of Batman Beyond like a year ago. And one of the early episodes, it was the episode that introduced Ink, the villain Ink, you know, that chick that turns into like sort of that creepy blob creature. I remember there's a moment in that episode where she sneaks into the Batcave and she wraps her tentacles around Terry and like hauls him up in the air, and she forces one of her tentacles down his throat. And I remember watching that, and something clicked in me, because before that, I had recently seen an anime film called Wicked City, and something really similar happens in Wicked City, where like the main female character, she gets grabbed by a bunch of these tentacles, and well, I mean, it's an adult anime film, so you could probably guess what happens, but there's a point to where like she gets a tentacle like shoved down her throat in a very, very similar fashion. So I remember watching that episode and being blown away, because I was like, holy shit, these guys made a visual reference to what was basically like an early anime hentai film. Because that's almost what Wicked City was like. It was a ton of sex and super graphic, like, sexual imagery in that movie. And I was just flabbergasted at that. It's like, dude, this is a show for kids, but they threw a reference like that in there. And I knew it was a reference. It had to have been, because, like, the way the shot was framed, the way it was choreographed, everything, it was exactly like that moment from Wicked City. I was like, no, there's no way that's a coincidence. So I was really taken aback by that. I was actually kind of impressed that they had the balls to reference something like that in a kids show. Anyways, get back to the comments, because I went off on that little tangent. So, Transformers Prime has some problems, such as dropping plot lines, bulkhead, and breakdown rivals. Yeah, I did. Yeah, now that you mention it, I do remember that human villain Silas kind of being forgotten about. Autobots have plot armor. Yeah, it did have some flaws, but I still really enjoyed it. Those are all very valid criticisms for sure. Which did you like more, Wicked City or Ninja Scrolls? Yeah, I know they're both directed by the same guy, Kawajiri, I believe his name is. Yeah, I think that dude's kind of become like my favorite anime creator, full stop. Because I've seen Wicked City, I've seen Ninja Scroll, I've seen Demon City Shinjuku, which I honestly wasn't a huge fan of. What else? I saw Vampire Hunter Deep Bloodlust, which I thought was phenomenal. I haven't seen the Highlander anime film that he directed. I do want to though, because I've heard a lot of people say it was good, and it's probably like the best piece of Highlander media outside of the original film. So definitely gonna check that film out whenever I get the chance. But if I had to pick between Wicked City or Ninja Scroll, I don't know, dude. It's kind of hard for me to pick. I love both those films for different reasons, you know. I definitely love the creepy atmosphere that Wicked City has. I love Ninja Scroll because I like the characters in it a lot. I thought the action scenes were awesome. Main character was a badass. Really liked following him throughout the movie. I liked the female character as well. Kagero, I believe her name was. Would Bruce Wayne be in favor of the mutant cure? That's an interesting question. I'm not entirely sure. Would Bruce Wayne be in favor of the mutant cure? I don't know. I think that I'm going to say he wouldn't be, because I think that Bruce Wayne, as a character, you know, he's like a scientific expert, so I think naturally he would be very skeptical of something like that that's being made public. So no, I don't think he would be in favor of something like that. That would kind of be seen as like the cure for what's essentially like the next big step forward for human evolution, which is, well, it's what the mutants are supposed to be, anyways. But I think there's probably been a lot of recent X-Men comic arcs that have retconned the shit out of that idea. So yeah, that's what I think Batman would be like. He would be very skeptical of something like that. Would you say Extremis is the story that defines comic book Iron Man's personality? I know it's not a complex story, but I feel it made Tony Stark complex. Yeah, I would say so, but I don't think that Iron Man I don't think Tony Stark in the Extremis story was the super quippy smartass that Robert Downey Jr. would portray him as. But yeah, I will say I think his character was fairly complex in that storyline. And I do know they kind of used a lot of elements from the Extremis story for the MCU movies. Ooh. Haven't read Extremis in a pretty good while. Want to go back and actually give it a read. I remember this one Iron Man sort of limited series I really enjoyed. It was called Enter the Mandarin. It was a really fun sort of pulpy Iron Man versus Mandarin story. I thought that was really cool. I thought the artwork was really cool in it too. So if you're an Iron Man fan, I would definitely recommend checking that comic out. Enter the Mandarin. That's what it's called. Alrighty. What are we at right now? We're at 55 minutes. Okay. I think I'll stream for about 15 more minutes before calling it quits. I will say, guys, I think the next stream I want to do, I want to experiment a little bit, maybe stream from, I think a friend of mine suggested me streaming outside, sort of showing you some of the place that I live around. I don't know if you guys would be interested in doing that, but if you are, I would definitely be willing to do that because there's a lot of really nice scenery around the coast where I live at. What do we got here? 10 favorite public domain superheroes. I think the only public domain superheroes I'm aware of, I think the Shadow is public domain. Doc Savage is public domain. Oh, Zorro's public domain. I'd probably go with Zorro personally. I think Zorro's pretty badass. Do you remember the question? Too many genres? Oh yeah, dude. I remember you asking me that in a previous stream. I remember suggesting to you to sort of maybe focus on a couple of genres that maybe complement each other. Yeah. Let me see what the rest. The reason I brought it up. Could you clarify what you meant? For example, would tokusatsu and martial arts or science fantasy work? Yeah, I think those three genres could definitely work together. So when I said you had too many genres, the reason I brought that up is because it felt like a bunch of different ideas that didn't really mix well with each other. And I felt like it would have been too difficult for you to try to mix all those different tones. Because, see, here's the thing about genres. Genres come with tones. And I'm pretty sure you know what a tone is. So, for example, if you're trying to do, like, tokusatsu horror, that's going to be difficult to do because horror stories are typically dark in tone. Tokusatsu is typically lighter in tone. So that's not to say you couldn't do that, but it would require a good bit of work and a good bit of figuring out how to make those tones work together and synergize with each other. And the ideas you had, you were like, I think you said horror, you said tokusatsu, science fiction, fantasy, martial arts. Like, those are all genres with, I mean, some of them have different tones, but a lot of them have very disparate tones. So, like, tokusatsu and martial arts. Okay, those are two genres that typically have lighter tones. And science fantasy, that also typically has sort of lighter, sort of more adventurous, sort of fairy tale type tones. You know, because when most people think of science fantasy, they think of Star Wars. You know, which Star Wars is obviously, you know, it's a space adventure. You know, it's a bit lighter in tone. It's a bit cheesier. You know, it's a bit more escapist. You know. So yeah, I think those three genres. I think I'm glad that you singled it down to those three, because with those three, when you're trying to honor those three genres, you could have sort of you could have humor, you could have maybe some slapstick thrown in there, you can have crazy over the top battle sequences and martial arts fights and stuff like that, because those are all things that those three genres sort of have in common with each other. So that's why I suggested maybe focusing on one or two or three genres that sort of mix with each other. Does that make sense? I think that's the best way I can explain it. I hope that makes sense. So the reason I didn't ask you in the first place, I didn't want to hold your time. Yeah, dude, that's okay, dude. I'm not too anal about how long my streams take. I don't want them to go on for too long, but I do. Hey, Sheriff. Oh, Clint! Hey, dude. Hey, it's good to see you. Imperator Grimdark. Yeah, this dude, yeah, guys, in case you don't know who this guy is, he's a guy I know on Discord. He's a big Lord of the Rings Tolkien nerd. And he and I get along pretty well. He's a cool dude. Hey, Clint. It's good to see you, dude. I hope you can be sure to subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate if you did that. Could always use more viewers. Because definitely going to be more active on this channel for the foreseeable future going forward. I have read Enter the Mandarin. I didn't like it because it pays homage to the Larry Lieber, Don Heck run on Iron Man. Not big on that series. Really? Yeah, fair enough. That's your opinion, but I'm curious as to why you don't like Larry Lieber and Don Heck's run. Like I said, that's cool if you don't. That's cool if you don't. That's cool if you don't agree with that. If you don't like that run, but favorite Beast Wars character. Oh, I like Silverbolt a lot. I think Silverbolt's really cool. Who's the scariest Superman villain? I'd probably go with Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Superman. I think he was a really creepy, scary, sort of intimidating villain for Superman to fight. I think Hank Henshaw, Parasite. Who else? I think Brainiac can be pretty scary, depending on who's writing him. Do you support overturning Mr. Girl's ban? Oh yeah, the streamer Mr. Girl. Sure, yeah. I don't believe in banning any streamer, anybody from any platform. I think everybody's got a right to share their opinions, despite how idiotic or retarded some of those opinions are. So yeah, I'm all for overturning anyone's ban. Definitely. Already subbed since the Conan review. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Hey, everybody. Hello, Bill. It's good to see you. Good to see you could make it. Makes sense. I'm glad that makes sense. Thanks for your advice as always. Hey, no problem. No problem, bud. You can always ask me about your project anytime I do a stream. By the way, there was a tokusatsu horror series. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm not saying that like tokusatsu and horror can't be done well together. I definitely think they can. You know, just requires a specific way of handling it. Called Garo, which I recommend. I'll definitely check that out. The series is more dark tokusatsu with some horror elements. Yeah. I can definitely see that. That sounds cool. I'll definitely check that out. Frank Welker or Corey Burton Megatron? I think Corey Burton did Megatron in that 2007 Transformers show. Yeah, I definitely liked his version of Megatron. He was definitely badass. I always thought Frank Welker's Megatron voice was very kind of creepy and sinister sounding. So I'd probably go with his performance. Joe BXR. Hey, dude. Glad you could join. Thank you for leaving a like, dude. Batman and Robin Bane is the worst. He has no personality. He's not even Bane, dude. Come on. He just grunts. He just throws shit. He's not Bane. Do you think it's odd a grown adult reads and watches cartoons and videos made for kids? Do you think it's dangerous adult men who play video games with what? It's a strange question to ask. I think a lot of no, I don't think it's odd for adult men to have geeky, nerdy hobbies. I don't think that's odd at all. There's nothing wrong with it as long as you're not as long as it's not fueling some type of psychosis or something. I feel he's too clean in the Lieber run. I feel like Layton made him more interesting with the corporate espionage and alcoholic. Yeah, that's fair. I do think Bob Layton's run on Iron Man was very good. Definitely had a lot of great moments with Demon in the Bottle, Doom Quest, and Armor Wars and stuff. Layton's run on Iron Man was damn good. Which version of Batman is better, the comic or the animated series? I think I'm going to sort of give the same response I gave kind of with Iron Man. I think it depends. With Batman, who's writing him, I do think the animated series combines a lot of the best elements of the comic book, all the different comic book versions of Batman. I will say I do think Batman the animated series is probably a bit weak as a physical fighter. So, like, there's a few fight scenes when you go back and watch the animated series. He gets beat up a little bit too much, I feel. Like, I feel like in the Laughing Fish episode with Joker, like, he's fighting the Joker on top of that building, and Joker raises a crowbar, and then Batman gets hit by it. It's like, Batman, come on, dude. I could have avoided that crowbar swing. What are you doing? Come on, man. But then again, that was probably due to Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and the animators not really being too versed in choreographing fight scenes, which I guess is fair. Wasn't a huge flaw with the show, but it was noticeable with the animated series version of Batman. Yeah, Joker overpowered him with a fish. Yeah, it was strange for sure. Kind of how often Batman got overpowered in fights. Non-powered superhero versus slasher villains. Who would win? Well, if I were to pit maybe Batman versus Jason Voorhees, I'd probably go with Batman since he has incapacitated like superhuman opponents before, so he'd probably find some kind of way to incapacitate Jason, because let's be honest, I mean, Jason got his neck chained to the bottom of a lake quite a few different times, so yeah, I'd probably go with like the non-powered superheroes, because they usually have the intellect and the brains that a lot of slasher movie villains kind of lack. So that would be my response. What is your critique on Adam West's Batman? My critique? I don't have much of a critique. I think Adam West's Batman was a pretty good portrayal of the Silver Age incarnation. So I don't have much. I don't have much in terms of critique. Although I do think Adam West's Batman had a very had a very intense voice for that campier version. Definitely, it's a good question. My mind goes to Daredevil versus Freddy. Ooh, I think Daredevil would probably win though because there was there was that one episode of Justice League where Batman falls asleep and he gets his dreams invaded by that villain, Doctor Destiny, and he actually beats Doctor Destiny because he has such an indomitable friggin' will. So yeah, I think Daredevil probably. I think Matt Murdock would do pretty well against Freddy Krueger personally. Do you think there are too many Bat family members? Yeah, I could probably say so. Yeah, it's gotten kind of ridiculous at this point because they have Batwing and they have Batwoman and Batgirl. I think if I had, I think my ideal Bat family would probably be like, I'd probably have Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, maybe Catwoman, Azrael probably. Is Huntress part of the Bat family? I don't know. I know she's a Gotham City based vigilante, but I don't know. I don't know if she counts or not. But yeah, those would probably be my picks. I would try to keep it as simple as possible. Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Azrael because I think Azrael is cool. Thoughts on the villain Madame Mask? I don't have much thoughts. Haven't really read anything she's in. Which version of slashers do you prefer? The supernatural killers or the human slashers? I don't know. Probably the human slashers like Ghostface and Leatherface. Although I'm not a big fan of Ghostface because I'm not a huge fan of Scream personally. Um, but yeah, I think I would go with probably human slashers because at least with human slashers, you don't get any of that retarded shit like they did with some of the later Halloween sequels where they made Michael Myers like the slave of like some pagan cult or some dumb, stupid shit like that. Who do you think are the real life superheroes? Um, I think most people would probably say go with kind of the obvious answers, cops, firefighters, soldiers, National Guard members. I'd probably go with that. I would also go with, I would probably say people with integrity, people with self awareness, people who kind of just try to be as selfless and help others out as much as they can. People that do volunteer work and stuff like that. I think I think those to me would be kind of the real life superheroes because honestly, the way I define superhero is not simply someone that wears a colorful costume and has, you know, has superhuman powers or lots of training and intellect. To me, it would be someone who embodies some strong moral characteristic, who actually inspires other people to be as virtuous and heroic as they can, inspires people to give others hope and strength and stoicism and resilience and all that. That's what I think being a superhero is really about, is inspiring people around them to adopt those traits, and by proxy, inspiring the real life people who read or watch those stories to behave likewise in real life. And let me tell you, that's something that's been missing from a lot of big mainstream superhero media in recent years. And let me get off my soapbox and actually read some of the new comments. Are there any Superman family members? Yeah, there's a bunch, dude. There's Steel, there's Crypto, there's Supergirl. There's probably a few others I might not be thinking of. There's Superboy. Which version of Azrael? I'd probably go with Michael Lane's version. I like Michael Lane's version of Azrael way more than John Paul Valley's version, if I'm being honestly. If I'm being honest, I should say. Halloween went off a bit for me in the second one. Doc screaming. I shot him 6 times like a maniac, but in the first one just had a serious and dark look at. Yeah. I think Donald Pleasance went a little bit over the top as Dr. Loomis in Halloween 2. I still liked his performance, though. I still like that he was the one to actually kill Michael in the second movie. He didn't just kill Michael, he blew him to friggin' pieces. Holy crap. Opinions on these games. Outlast. Not a huge fan of Outlast. Seemed like it was more about jump scares than actual atmosphere and dread building. Soma. Haven't played Soma. I've heard people say a lot of good stuff about it. Ghost of Tsushima. I love Ghost of Tsushima. I love the story in that game. I love the visuals. I love the combat. The game. I played Ghost of Tsushima a whole bunch of times, and I do notice some flaws. Gets a bit repetitive. A lot of the side missions are very repetitive. So I'm hoping that the sequel that comes out addresses a lot of those flaws. And I think it will, because the DLC that got released with, I think, addressed a lot of those complaints. And I think Sucker Punch has definitely been listening to a lot of those complaints. So yeah, love Ghost of Tsushima. And I especially love it as a longtime diehard fan of samurai movies and Japanese cinema. Good shit. The Last of Us, I played a little bit of the first Last of Us. I wasn't really feeling it. Wasn't really my cup of tea. I'm glad other people like the first game a lot, and I feel sorry for all the people who got sorely disappointed by the second one. Is Michael Myers supernatural or not? I would prefer if there was a bit of mystery, because if I'm being completely honest, I think I prefer it when there's a mystery about what Michael Myers actually is. I prefer there being a bit of intrigue and uncertainty about whether he's a supernatural being or whether he's just a normal human who's just exceptionally strong and resilient. Gonna have to go, hopefully. Hey, man, thank you for showing up. It was great having you here. Asked some really good questions. I just saw the first 2 Halloween movies today. I plan on making a character bio on Michael Myers this month. Are there any other movies necessary for research? If you want to, I would probably recommend checking out all the Halloween movies if you want to go over the different timelines and all the ridiculous, dumb, idiotic shit they did with Michael Myers' character, with making him like the pawn of like a pagan cult, or having him like actually trying to manipulate him into trying to have sex with his own niece. Yes, that was an actual plot point in one of the sequels. I shit you not. So I think if you want to be thorough, that's probably the avenue I would suggest. Opinions on the Rocky films, from the first one to Rocky Balboa. I enjoy the Rocky films very much. I love the original. I think Rocky 2 is really good. Rocky 3 is a really good sort of popcorn film. Uh, I think if I had to go with what I thought was actually legitimately the best, I would go with the original. My personal favorite is actually Rocky 4, primarily because of the way it's edited and the music. Holy crap, the soundtrack in Rocky 4 was so full of bangers. Man, Vince DiCola's score was awesome, and all the licensed songs they used, dude, they kick ass. I jam out to the Rocky 4 soundtrack a lot when I'm at the gym and actually working out. It's great shit. Love the soundtrack to Rocky 4. Rocky 5 was kind of crappy. Rocky Balboa was really good. It was a good return for the series. I also think the first Creed movie was really good. I love the first Creed movie. And Creed 2. Creed 2 was enjoyable. It felt a bit... didn't feel too necessary, if I'm being completely honest. Who was more cunning and intelligent, Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees? I think Jason was definitely more cunning and intelligent before he got the hockey mask. Personally, because if you watch Friday the 13th Part 2, he's very sneaky and very cunning in the way that he actually kills all the kids. Because there is that one scene where he's hiding under the bed sheets when he kills that one girl. You never see Jason do anything like that in any of the future films, and I don't remember Michael Myers doing anything like that in any of the Halloween films. So let's see. Who's physically stronger? Yeah, I think my answer to that question would probably be Jason in Part 2. So yeah. Which Halloween movies were the worst? Resurrection, Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2, or the recent 3 films? So, Resurrection was bad. It was pretty crappy. I think Resurrection, that was the one with Busta Rhymes, I believe, wasn't it? Resurrection was good to laugh at, though. The Rob Zombie movies were just unpleasant and just a chore to sit through. With just how insufferable and annoying all the characters were, and the constant swearing and try-hard edginess those movies had. I think if I had to go with the worst ones out of all those, I would go with the Rob Zombie films any day of the week. Although I haven't seen Halloween Kills, and I'm not going to see Halloween Ends. I did see the 2018 film, and I was not impressed by it at all. I thought it was just a really lame, generic... It was just a really lame, generic slasher film. The only part of that film I liked was the bit where that doctor guy went a little crazy, and he was trying to be like a disciple of Michael Myers. I thought that could have gone in an interesting direction, but what do you know? They killed him off before they could even develop that subplot. And that pissed me off because I thought they were going to do something cool with that character. I thought they were going to maybe have have like a Renfield to Michael Myers' Dracula, but no, they didn't. So yeah. I was planning on going about it version by version, making separate bios for each version. Good or bad idea? Hey, I'm not going to say it's a good or bad idea. I think if that's what you want to do, if you want to be thorough with how you describe the characters in your videos, then sure, yeah, dude, go for it. Do the research. Watch all the films. Who's more dangerous, the Thing or the Xenomorph? That That is an interesting question. I would say probably The Thing. And could The Thing assimilate the xenomorph? I think it would have a pretty hard time with the acid blood. I think the acid blood would probably get in the way a lot, unless somehow the Thing's ability to have like every single particle and atom of it somehow be a sentient glob of acid blood. Yeah, I don't think the Thing would be able to shapeshift as a xenomorph. Why doesn't Jason Voorhees kill kids? Probably because they wouldn't be able to get away with showing him killing kids. Although I did like that bit in the sixth Friday the 13th movie where he actually barged into that cabin and it looked like he was about to kill those kids. I liked that. I liked that those movies went for those types of stakes. How many killings / murders separate a horror movie from a slasher movie? It's not necessarily about the number of murders that happen, because there are a lot of horror movies where a lot of people die that are not slasher films. So, I think one example would probably be The Thing. I wouldn't say The Thing is a slasher film, but a lot of characters do die in that movie. I think in order for something to qualify as a slasher film, there has to be a certain formula that's adhered to. There needs to be, usually the killer is I think usually the killer is some type of human, or a character who used to be human, like Freddy Krueger or Jason. I think that's the main thing with slasher movies. If it's like some human or more than human antagonist that's stalking and killing off each of these characters one by one, I think that sort of nails it down or denotes slashers a little bit. And there's a lot more to the formula than just that. But I can't quite think of all the details right now. All right. Okay, guys, I'm getting a little bit tired, so I think I'm going to, we've been going for like an hour and 30 minutes, so I'm going to be cutting it short really quick. I'm going to be cutting it short real soon, so I'm going to answer a couple more of your questions. So, versus question, Godzilla versus Ultraman. My money would be on Godzilla because he's fought and kicked everybody's ass. So, I don't think Ultraman would stand much of a chance. I mean, the most Ultraman can do is probably this. You know, this thing where he shoots like a laser out of the side of his palm, but I don't think that would work too well on Godzilla. Which remake is worse, Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street? Nightmare on Elm Street any day of the week. The Friday the 13th remake had some good things going for it. I do liked how it cycled through the first three sort of in a stylish sense. It had the opening scene where it showed Jason's mom. It also had part of the opening scene where you see Jason with the bag on his head, and then throughout the rest of the film, he puts the hockey mask on. I thought that was cool. I definitely liked that about the Friday the 13th remake. So, Nightmare on Elm Street remake there was literally nothing special about it. It was a piece of shit. Don't ever watch it. Watch the original Wes Craven one. So, yeah. So, yeah, we're at literally almost an hour and 30 minutes. I think I'm going to end it here. So, before I do, I just want to say thank all of you guys for showing up. Thank you all for talking to me. It was a pleasure to speak with all of you. And gotta go now. Thanks for the advice. Anytime, bud. Yeah, anytime. You can ask me anything during one of these streams. It would be my pleasure. Freddy Krueger versus Pennywise. I think my money would. Well, yeah. The way Pennywise dies is by apparently the kids telling him they're not scared of him, which I think is dumb. I mean, Freddy Krueger, you don't need to be scared of him for him to be able to kill you, so, yeah. Alright. Neozoic, have a good one, dude. Bill, thank you so much for showing up. Yeah, great stream, most definitely. Alright, everybody, you have a great weekend. Hope to see you again on the next one. So I'm going to stop it here. You all take care. Goodbye.